Managing Director, good morning. Thank you for joining Sky News Carabiya today.
My pleasure.
The region is going through significant changes. I would like to break them down and get your perspective. But first, let's start with the good news. You mentioned that for the Middle East and North Africa, you expect growth to rebound to about 3.6% in 2025, driven by a recovery in oil production and an easing of regional conflicts. Can you elaborate and tell us more?
What we have seen is globally an incredible resilience to the shocks we have experienced over the last years, and the same is valid for this region. As a result, we project global growth at 3.3%, growth for this part of the world exceeding global growth at 3.6%. But when we compare this to historical averages, this is still below what growth used to be before the pandemic. And that takes me to the main message to the region. It has to continue to pursue private sector-led productivity-based growth, because the biggest change we see with concern today vis-a-vis the pre-pandemic time is slow increase in productivity and even decrease in productivity. Just to give you the picture, before the pandemic, productivity will be driving growth, 1.3% annual increase in productivity. Now, only 0.2%. So, to the region, stay the course on diversification, stay the course on focus on productivity enhancing reforms.
Managing Director, as I mentioned when we started the interview, the region is going through significant changes. I'm going to start with Syria first. Of course, the collapse of Assad regime, the formation of the new administration. What's your take on that? Did they reach out to you?
The people of Syria have suffered for far too long, and I do hope that we would see stabilization in Syria that would allow to finally get the economy on a better path. We haven't had engagement with the country since 2009, meaning that our knowledge of the structure of the economy, what could be driving forces for recovery, needs to be replenished. And we are very open to see how we can help the country. We are very open to hear also the views of the neighbors of the region, so we can build the potential for support that the country so much needs. My heart goes to the Syrian people, and I do pray for a better future for them.
So no engagement at the moment, but you are willing to?
Of course, Syria is a member of the IMF, but it is a member of the IMF that has been away for quite some time. So we need to re-engage to build that ability to help the country.
So turning to Lebanon, the neighbor, the formation of a new government, of course, raising hopes that the country is on the right track. What's your take on this, and what is the priorities there for you, for the IMF, and what do you like to see before you increase your involvement further on ground?
I'm sure it is a big relief to everybody in Lebanon that there is a president, there is a government, and it is a big relief for us at the IMF. We have had a staff-level agreement with Lebanon for almost 3 years, and we could not move towards implementing it because of political paralysis in the country. So we are now very encouraged that there is somebody to talk to, and I can tell you that we stand ready to move very swiftly to support Lebanon. Different to Syria, we have kept engagement with Lebanon. We know what the problems are. We know what the solutions are. It is a matter of now demonstrably political will to address these problems. The country needs reforms, and the country is now in a position to pursue these reforms.
Did you identify key priorities and commitments that needs to be done as soon as possible there?
We have known them for some time. We need to see the Central Bank of Lebanon operating like a central bank with the discipline that this requires. We need to see a budget and a fiscal position that has the political endorsement. Even with the last couple of years, with the absence of political clarity, it was fairly obvious what the budget priorities need to be. And it is very important that the friends of Lebanon can come together to support reconstruction in Lebanon. We are already having discussions around how to accelerate this process. So where we are going to be is the country comes with commitment to reforms, clear path to implementing these reforms, and the friends of Lebanon helping a page to be turned for the better for the people of Lebanon.
So you're saying that there are active discussions regarding that, a fast track?
Very fast track for Lebanon because, as I said, we have known for quite some time what needs to be done. People in Lebanon actually were urging us to step forward because they recognize that without the discipline of reforms, the country is not going to get out of the difficulty it finds itself. We know that when there is political will, there is a way. And we know, fortunately, what the way is.
Great. I sense positivity here, which is very good. Turning to Egypt now, the fourth review has not been completed, but we are waiting for the confirmation of the executive board for the fourth tranche. Additionally, there's ongoing discussion about potential loan from RSF. Any insights on the size of the loan?
Yeah. We have finished our work with the Egyptian authorities on the completion of the review. And now we are putting that in front of our executive board. We will define within this month a date for the board to look into the outcome of this review, as well as the proposal for a RSF for Egypt. What I can tell you is that we as management are very comfortable with the reform package. We are comfortable with the adjustments that have been done to reflect on the difficult conditions Egypt finds itself in. As you know, because of factors outside of their control, revenues from the Suez Canal have decreased significantly. So we have recalibrated somewhat the path of reforms. The goal remains the same. But how we get to this goal is fitting the current circumstances. And we as management are coming with a proposal for a sizable RSF for Egypt. Our board will have to give us a seal of approval. I'm quite confident that we will get that approval.
But you haven't decided on the size yet?
Well, we as management, we are proposing for the RSF around $1.3 billion. It is for the board to approve or not this amount. As I said, I think we have a credible proposal to our board. So my expectation is for the board to deliberate and approve that proposal.
Great. You just mentioned that you're comfortable with the reforms package in Egypt. My question to you, did they ask for additional time for any of those reforms? And if any, what are those reforms?
They have not asked for changing the reform objectives. What they have asked was for making the path of implementing the reforms aligned with the changes in their fiscal conditions. And we need to recognize that just the loss of revenues from the Suez Canal is quite significant, as well as the overall complexity of the economic picture in the region because of the conflict. I do hope that the ceasefire agreement, the path to peace for Gaza is going to calm down the situation in the region, benefiting everybody, benefiting Egypt as well.
Will that change the economic outlook, you think?
What we are seeing is, even in our projections, the reduction in security concerns in the region translates into a more positive outlook, and that applies for the whole region. As you can imagine, it applies even more for the immediate neighbors.
Exactly. Let's wrap up with what's happening globally. Of course, regarding the trade actions and economic policies of President Trump. First of all, for sure, it's going to have a far-reaching global implications. I would like to understand your take on that, and how will you envision the impact on the region?
What we have seen over the last years is that trade is no more the powerful engine of growth it used to be in the 90s, in the 2000s. It used to be that trade would grow much faster than GDP, and it will drive upward movement of GDP. Now trade is just about GDP growth, or even below. And countries, including countries in this region, they need to adapt their policy objectives in that context. What does it mean? It means two things. One, much stronger focus on domestic capacity to generate productivity and private sector-led growth. There is no way to move from a path of relentless pursuit of structural reforms. Two, look for partnerships and collaboration in your neighborhood. Rely on your friends and neighbors more. And in this sense, the GCC is a very good example of deepening cooperation in a context of a world that is changing in front of our eyes.
Madame Kristalina, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you very much for making the time to sit with us.
Thank you.